Earlier this year, it was announced that former Radio 1 host Scott Mills would be replacing Steve Wright on BBC Radio 2. Steve announced his weekday afternoon show was coming to an end after 20 years and left fans fuming over the schedule reshuffle. However, it was later confirmed that Steve would still host one Sunday show a week, with Scott taking over the main bulk of the schedule. Scott recently opened up about how he felt taking the reins from Steve and admitted that he felt he had a big act to follow. Speaking about his departure at the time, Steve told the BBC, "At the beginning of this year, my friend and boss Helen Thomas, head of Radio 2, said she wanted to do something different in the afternoons," he explained to listeners on Friday. "Now, I've been doing this program for 24 years at Radio 2, so how can I possibly complain? The support and creative freedom that I'm given is fantastic at Radio 2 and really I can't hog the slot forever, so let's give somebody else a go." Steve has been a staple part of BBC Radio 2 since 1981 and is loved by listeners across the nation. Fans were so upset that they started a petition which amassed 2,945 to keep Steve on the station, where he will continue to host his Sunday Love Songs show. Scott will step into Radio 2 with a new weekday afternoon show which will run from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. Speaking about taking over the role from Steve, Scott admitted that Steve was one of the finest broadcasters in the world and had big shoes to fill. "I was offered another 2-year contract, but I'm 49 now and down the line, who wants a 60-year-old Scott Mills on Radio 1? I've spent half my life at the station, and it has been glorious, but I would have been an absolute fool to turn down Radio 2. This is a job that doesn't come up very often. Will I be out of my comfort zone? No, I don't think so. There is something about Radio 2, a slight feeling you get when you go in there, and that's a good thing. It's like Scott goes to big school, but I've got my own locker now," he told Radio Times. When Scott first announced his departure from Radio 1, he enlisted the help of singer Lewis Capaldi to break the news to his listeners. Lewis expressed, "Scott and Chris Stark are going to be leaving Radio 1, which is a shame. I know you're all screaming, you're shouting at the television, you're throwing things. I'm going to miss the boys, but everything's going to be okay." Scott is set to start his first day on Monday, October 31st, and is scheduled to host his show every weekday. Talking about his first day, he explained to The Independent, "A brand new era begins for me at my new home, BBC Radio 2. In an attempt to scare me even more, the bosses have decided my very first show is on Halloween. Join me every day for the best music and let's switch off from the world for a couple of hours and have a laugh." He paid tribute to Radio 1, saying, "Time actually does fly when you're having fun, and that's certainly been the case over the past 24 years at my beloved Radio 1. The station I pretended to be on in my bedroom from the age of 6. The station I told my mom I wanted to work at, but never in a million years thought I would." Scott Mills' full interview is available to read at Radio Times. co.uk.